In this video, we're going to take a look at a new feature called conditional formatting. What conditional formatting allows you to do is take advantage of color and indicator on a column by column basis without having to build things like KPIs or knowing how to manually set up each of these drop zones yourself. So the way that you implement conditional formatting is you right click on a column and you'll see you get this new column or conditional formatting option. Now, what makes conditional formatting a little different than what we've had previously is the fact that typically we've had the color coding based on measure. But what we didn't have was being able to color code a specific column. So in this instance, it's saying I can set up a color and or shape based on the component / growth percent. So it's just that one column. So that is unique. In this video, we're not going to focus on that. Instead, what we're going to do is we're going to take a look at how you can create a KPI without having to pre-build a KPI in Formulate. So we're just going to go to the growth percent and we're going to choose shapes. And let's just pick as an example the tri-band color squares. So we're going to choose that as our option. What these ones will do here is you'll see it sets up both the color and the indicator at the same time. However, you will notice that it didn't ask you what method to use for the color or what method to use for the indicator. It just went ahead and created those using, in most cases, the linear examples. All right, it turns out though that if you have a specific range of values that you want to apply to the color and the indicator, you can do so in the conditional formatting dialog. And where you will find that is over here on the toolbar. There is a design toolbar. If I click on the design toolbar, I will find conditional formatting. I can go ahead and click on that, and it brings up the dialog for the conditional formatting. Now you'll notice in this instance, I've got the color checked and the indicator checked. So it's applying both, and you'll see I can set the properties of each of them either different from one another or using the same criteria. In this case, it looks like it's using a ranked criteria to determine the color and the indicator both. But what I want to do is I want to modify this. So I'm going to start with the color. And what you'll see is that there's an option called fixed. If I click on that, I can actually specify what the range is for the colors. And I can do 2, 3, 4, or 5 bands. I'm going to do 3 bands. And I'm going to start out with 0 and say if it's less than 0, it's going to be red. If it's between 0 and 10%, it's going to be yellow, and then anything greater than 10% will be green. And so I can just go ahead and hit apply. And what you'll see is the colors are now matching the criteria that I've established. However, the indicator itself is not necessarily matching. You'll see, like in this example here, this indicator and this indicator, the exact same shape, but they're 2 different colors. That's because each of those features is separate. So if I want the indicator to use the same criteria, I would need to switch over to the indicator and do the same thing. So I'm going to set that criteria in both places and hit apply. And you'll see now I've got color and the indicator style matching. Okay, just so that this is a little bit easier to read though, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you, once you build it, you can then adjust this accordingly. You'll see I can adjust what gets colored. I can also adjust the type of indicator. So maybe what I really want is the signs. And so I'm going to switch this to the arrows. And now the down arrow is red, the up arrow is green, and the side arrow is yellow. So I can play around with these features. You can see, you can also include the totals in the indicators if you want indicator values on the totals as well. So I could throw that in there as an option as well. Okay, so those are the basic features. I'm going to show you one quick advanced feature, and that is with these bands, I can hard code them, or what you'll see when you first come in, when I hit X, it says drop chip here. What that means is I could, in fact, use a measure to drive the bands. So I don't have to hard code it if I don't want to. And so I've got an example here where I've got this thing called lower limit. I'm just going to drop it here. When I drop it in and then I hit apply, what you'll see is I get this little slider bar. And right now it's set to 0. But if I adjust this, and this one's set up to go by 5%, so if I go negative 5%, what you'll see is some of these change color. So this negative 3% is now yellow. But notice it's pointing down because I've got the other one hard coded to 0. But the idea being that I can actually drive these ranges by measures, or I can hard code them. But it's really easy to implement using this conditional formatting dialog, and it allows you to build out whatever criteria you want for both the color and the indicator. So hopefully that makes sense, and you'll have fun doing that with your own data.